specifically our debut episode. I'm one of your hosts, Ziva the Diva, and I have here with me the two other beautiful hosts.
I guess I'll go first. My name is Annabel, and then we also have.
I'm Sheridan. As many of you know all three of us, or if you don't know all three of us, you will get to know all three of us. This is the Power Up podcast, something that we've been talking about and trying to work on for probably half this year already. When Ziva and I started talking about it in around like the summer, and then we added Annabel on, and here we are. We finally got to it. So yeah, I don't know what else to say.
This has been a long time in the making. I think it actually was March, because I feel like we were in quarantine already.
Yeah.
It's been a minute. We're taking our time. We're crafting it. We're creating a beautiful project. We didn't want to rush it, so we're here now. And we're excited for you guys to get to know our podcast. So Annabelle, do you want to let everybody know kind of what our podcast is going to be about?
So, for our podcast, our goal is to not only highlight women in gaming and esports, but highlight topics that they're passionate about. Today we're going to be talking a lot about ourselves, but in the future, we really hope to spotlight women who may be working in esports positions you don't know about, talk about the gaming industry. We're all about information. So, I think that's one of our goals. But, Sheridan, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, if you follow me on Twitter, you know I'm very outspoken about celebrating women in gaming and women's issues in esports. So I'm really excited to tackle some of these other issues that we're seeing, as well as highlighting super awesome guests, and just getting to know my fellow hosts and getting to know other awesome women in the industry. And I'm just so excited. Ziva, do you have what specific goals do you have as well? You got
this.
Oh
my gosh.
Sorry,
yeah,
such a
I hope so. I'm being thrown on the table. I'm okay with it. I'm ready. Well, I'm not as embedded in the esports scene as my lovely two co-hosts are. I'm on a different scene. I'd say more of like a casual gaming scene and a streaming scene. So I definitely kind of would love to get people's experiences who play maybe more casual games, specifically like rhythm games. I play a lot of Just Dance, and I feel like, oh yeah. I feel like there's definitely a lot of there's a lot to talk about, especially in like casual gaming and women on Twitch and other streaming platforms. So I would love to get and not specifically even just women, non-binary people, people all over kind of the spectrum of talent. I mean, there's so much talent. So I just would love to first of all show everybody all this talent and get different experiences so that people can have a different viewpoint and different trying to say, but we also want to keep it positive too. We will definitely discuss the issues that come with being a woman in video games, but we also want to show that it's very possible and there are people killing it out there and that they have a lot to share and we want to help them share it. So that's the purpose, or at least that's my goal. But Annabelle, would you like to let us know what your specific goal is?
I already talked about like the information stuff, but I think going off of what you're talking about, there's so many talented women, and I just want to have like a source for people to come to, whether, they're a high school student or they're young and they're trying to figure out what they want to do, whether it's streaming, whether it's esports, whether they just want to celebrate gaming in general. I think it's really, really valuable to be able to come somewhere and learn about other people, learn about opportunities, that kind of stuff. So I think we've kind of covered everything. We're just so excited. Like, we're all just laughing the whole time. It's going to be a good time. I'm so excited.
And we all bring like different things to the table. And I think that's what's really interesting. We have Ziva with the streaming. We have Annabel, who knows a lot about, collegiate esports and like what it takes to run a program. And then I know things about social media. So if you need...
I think we'll bring a good variety of different viewpoints, and I think mostly we also just want to bring hope to women in esports and just gaming who might feel a little bit hopeless, especially those who play competitive games. I know it's easy to get put down a lot by how some people may treat you. We want to bring you some hope and show you that things exactly we want to empower, hence the Power Up podcast name. We want to power up these women and anybody else, hopefully power them up, and also hopefully teach or give a message of respecting and also empowering other people. So yeah.
And before
Yeah, it's
Cool.
all.
we can
Go
do
ahead.
justice to any of our awesome guests, we gotta introduce ourselves. And our
Totally.
I know we're not like industry professionals yet, but we do have some credibility. We're in the gaming space.
Yeah.
All day,
I love
every
how you said yet. I love how you said yet. Like we're not yet
We're not
there, but you're manifesting. Yeah,
That's the
like,
goal.
almost
gonna get
there.
there. Well, Sheridan, would you like to start us off then? Please
Sure.
tell us about yourself.
My name is Sheridan. I also go by Cutie Pebbles, or most recently, I've dropped the cutie. I've dropped the the ulls at the end. People know me as Pebs. I get called that a lot. So, Pebs, Cutie Pebbles, Sheridan, whatever you want. And I am currently a student at Florida State University, as you may know. And I am currently, as of when we're recording this, the social media manager for Florida State Esports, soon to graduate in December.
Sheridan, Cutie Pebbles, graduated in fall 2020 with her bachelor's in editing, writing, and media.
Where I will hopefully move on into the professional esports world, but who knows, because jobs are hard.
COVID. Yeah, all that stuff.
I play Overwatch, I play Valorant, I play a lot of Minecraft. I feel like I play a lot of different games. And I don't know, I think that's all you need to know at the beginning. You'll learn more, I guess. Annabel, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'll go next. I am the non-Seminole here. I go to the University of Central Florida. My name is Annabel Zinn. So I'm the risk manager and vice president of esports at UCF, our all new, brand new esports org dedicated to helping our players. I'm a radio TV major, which I used to be engineering, so it's been kind of a change. And in my free time, I play a lot of rhythm games, specifically arcade rhythm games. COVID has kind of made that difficult, since we're supposed to stay inside and everything. And I also play a lot of RPGs. I've been going ham on the Switch and PS4 in my free time. I watch K-dramas. I watch anime. Grew up watching anime with my dad and my mom because I'm half Japanese. Cool. So I love being proud of that kind of stuff. I love being proud of my background. And I'm super excited about esports. I want to work in esports. So telling stories is like my goal. So that's me. What about you, Ziva?
All right, I guess I'll go
Last
next
but
because there's
not
nobody else. Last but not least, yeah, hi, my name's Ziva, also known as Ziva the Diva on the internet, or unfortunately Ziva the Diva OW. I can't drop it. Somebody stole my name. I would like to talk to that person. If you're out there, please give it to me. But yeah, Ziva the across the internet. I am most notably a Just Dance and variety streamer on Twitch, but I'm also the outreach officer for Florida State Esports, so I work a lot with Sheridan on outreach stuff online, and well, I used to be offline. We used to have events, but of course, my job as outreach officer has become quite slim in the past couple of months, but it's still been a great time. So those are my two kind of jobs in the industry, but obviously not jobs. I have been passionate about video games since a very early age. I used to watch Let's Plays of every single game that would come out because I didn't have anywhere to play it. And then my friend gifted me Overwatch, and that's how I officially got into it. And so I've been playing Overwatch, Just Dance, a bunch of first-person story games since I was like a wee little child. That's not true. I was like 15 or 16, but exactly. So there you go. Yeah, that's my background in gaming, and I love video games, and I love the community that surrounds it, and I can't wait to tell people's stories from all over the place, from all over the corners of the internet. So yeah, that's me.
So I think one of the first things we want to talk about is a little bit into how each of us got into esports. I'm trying to open my notes, but my phone won't open. Okay.
Yeah, I think I think today is really going to be a storytelling session, like how we got into esports or how we got into gaming or both or none. I mean, I think we all have been involved in college, but it takes a lot for you to come from I played games as a kid to I want to do this either for a career or maybe a hobby or I want to take this seriously. So I think that's going to be the goal. So I'm gonna spice things up a bit. So instead of Sheridan going first, I'm actually gonna ask Ziva. So
You got
Oh wow. Oh gosh, I wasn't ready. Okay, cool. So I kind of got into how I got into just gaming in general. I was just speaking to a friend about how many Let's Plays I'd watched, and he went, like, are you ever gonna play any game? And I was like, no, I probably never will. And then he was like, here's Overwatch. And I was like, cool, I'm gonna check it out. I'd never been into any, at least not any first person shooters, because they just didn't appeal to me. They were dark and very realistic, and I, wasn't huge on like being into military games. So I was like, ugh. But then there was this colorful game where I could be like a cowboy or like a cute angel with wings who heals people. So I had all the opportunities. So I got into Overwatch. And then I started playing it a little bit more competitively. By competitively, I mean platinum, so not competitive at all. But I thought I was cool as beans when I reached platinum. And I was at Miami-Dade College at the time. They had an esports program, but it wasn't super, established. And then I transferred to FSU, and I immediately, when I went into the wait, I feel like I should know the name for the fair, considering I'm the outreach officer. The involvement fair, yes, the involvement fair. I feel like
Bad
I should know
outreach
that.
officer.
I'm terrible, obviously. To be fair, it's been a few months since I've been to one, so
that's fair. That's
I
fair.
ran around the involvement fair looking for anything to do with esports or video games, and found the newly coined FSU esports, or at the time esports at Florida State, which had just changed from a League of Legends club to an actual esports club, and so that's how I joined. At first, I was just on board as a player, and then I actually became the social media manager for a little bit. Did a terrible job, handed it over to Sheridan, which she did a great job, and then I got to kind of play in the outreach space, which I'm more comfortable with. I love talking to people. I love interacting with people. I love letting people talk about the games that they're passionate about in person. So that's kind of where I found my niche, is in esports and gaming, is just, communicating community. And yeah, that's my thing. But I'll go ahead and shoot it up to Sheridan now.
Okay. I kind of have like two origin stories.
She's a villain.
Villain. So I started gaming a really long time ago because I'm an only child, and when you have two working parents, you get left alone a lot with a computer. So I played a lot of like random games, but I wasn't allowed to watch YouTube. This is important. I wasn't allowed to watch YouTube until I was in middle school. And then one day I went on youtube.com and I found Captain Sparkles playing Minecraft. And I
Oh
was
my god.
Oh, you just unlocked some memories.
Oh.
and I was like, what's this Minecraft game? So I found Roblox. We started playing Roblox because it was free. And then I found one of my middle school friends, and he was like, hey, you can borrow my Minecraft account. And so we would call on the phone, like the handheld, like a home phone, and we would play Minecraft together because we didn't have Discord or like Skype yet. So we would just call on the landline phone and be like, oh, Riley, let's play Minecraft together. And he would show me how to do things on Minecraft, and I was so bad at it. And then when I got to high school, I made a Minecraft YouTube channel, which I love to talk about because it was how I got my start in video editing from my early days. I used to be Pebbles91601 till I changed to Pebbles Plays MC, and then Pebbles XO. And so I played a lot of Minecraft on my channel with my friends. And also at this time, in high school, I was in yearbook. And this is where I learned my graphic design skills, my photography skills, my interview skills that I would later, I didn't know this yet, I would later use to become the social media manager. So I just hung out and played Minecraft for like 4 years, and then I got to college after my first year because if you don't know, my first year I studied abroad. I didn't have access to my like PC anymore, so I stopped playing video games for a whole year. And then I got to FSU in Tallahassee, and I still wasn't really into esports, still more of a casual gamer. And at Tabletop Tuesday, I met Jacob Ford. If you don't know him, he is, first of all, the program coordinator for Florida State Esports in 2020, not back at the time. Let me clarify. And we started dating, and he showed me esports. And I thought it was really cool because I already played video games, but this was like competitive video games. And so thus began me trying to find the esport that I was good at. I tried Hearthstone, not good at it at all. I tried Rocket League, not good at it at all, but I tried. And it wasn't actually until this year, till quarantine, that I picked up Overwatch. And I was like, ooh, a first-person shooter. I've never played this before. And I ended up falling in love with it. Like, it's unlike any other game I've played before. Now I'm on a Valorant kick, as many Overwatch players are, and I just play Valorant now all the time. I eventually became the social media manager. That's all details that aren't important. But yeah, there's my story, my 2 origin stories. Annabel, how did you get involved with esports, especially coming from engineering? I want to hear about that.
Okay. So growing up, my dad was an engineer. I was very aware of it. I was always like a very super science STEM person. My parents kind of let me do that. They supported me. You know, I wanted to go to a middle school with more science curriculum. They did that. And they let me choose like where I wanted to go. But my dad was an engineer. I really loved STEM, and growing up, you know, some kids like watch TV a bunch. They go hang out with their friends, but I went to schools that I wasn't really zoned for. So a lot of the time my friends were like 30, 40 minutes away. So I would play video games in my free time, or I would play it with my dad. We had a GameCube. That was my first like video game console. We played Lego Star Wars. I was like super into Star Wars as a kid, so it was like the perfect thing for me. I remember playing Kirby's Epic Yarn on the Wii. I remember playing Animal Crossing. Um, I never got into like console FPS or like console multiplayer actually, because I kind of jumped straight to PC. I got this really old laptop. I started playing Minecraft in middle school. Um, and I would play Minecraft with my friends. But I was also busy with school at that point. But it was how I would hang out with my dad. It was how I would hang out with my friends. And then I went to high school, and my sophomore year, I was like trying to find friends, and my English classmates were like, "Hey," they were talking about League of Legends, and I was like, "I know about League of Legends." And they're like, "Hey, we have 4 people. Do you want to be our 5th person? And we'll have a full squad for norms." And I was like, "Sure." So we made this Discord server. It's been around since then. We still all hang out in it. They still play League and everything. And that's how I started playing games that were more like competitive. And I really like enjoyed it. I was also playing Osu at that point, and those were like my 2 big games. And then I went to college, and I was so set on being an engineer. I was like, my dad was an engineer, I'm an engineer, I'm a student on scholarship, like I'm gonna be a great academic student. And it just didn't click for me. Like for me, I could have done that. I could have stuck with engineering, but it wasn't something that appealed to me. I would sit in the circuits lab and I was like, I'm not enjoying this. Like, at what point does the sunken cost stop mattering? And luckily, I came in with a lot of college credit, so I started trying new things and I switched to radio TV. And I also got involved in the esports program under Gaming Nights at that point. I was just like, screw it. I took a leap of faith. I ran for esports director. Nobody else ran, so I guess I kind of won it by default. Um, and it was a lot of work. It was one person in charge of the whole esports program at that point. And that was like my deep dive into team management without an oxygen mask. But it was a good experience in terms of like learning about how collegiate works, how difficult it is. I'm sure we can all relate to like you're kind of organizing a group of sheep sometimes and like trying to get them to go in certain directions. Like, hey, I need you to do this. And we ended up founding esports at UCF in March. So now I'm like one of the co-founders. And I'm working towards my personal career now because I think I've done a lot at UCF, and I kind of want to move forward. And also, on another note, I mentioned I like arcade rhythm games. When I met my partner and he moved down here, we found an arcade near campus, and I've tried arcade rhythm games for the first time, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is so cool." Like, instead of me just clicking a mouse button, I can like press different buttons, I can dance, I can do all of this stuff. So it's really cool to find other people who like play rhythm games or like playing certain games, because it's always kind of just been me, the girl, with a bunch of like guy friends, and like they're like, "You like rhythm games? Like what?" Or like, "Why are you doing this or that?" And I'm like, "'Cause I like it. Deal with it." Like,
Yeah,
so that's my long-winded story. But I think gaming has like been part of my childhood for so long that it's like I couldn't go without gaming, and it's therapeutic to me. It's relaxing. If I want to relax, I'm gonna go sit in the living room and play Persona, or I'm gonna go play on my Switch and have a good time.
I really did not think that gaming would be the future that I'm like attempting to like have for myself. I'm
Me
an
neither.
English
Yeah.
major.
I was a musical theater kid in high school, so I sure as heck didn't expect it either. Because I feel like there's kind of a stereotype of gamers, whether or not it's female or male. Like it's kind of like homebody, introverted, which
Yeah,
is completely fine. But I feel like I kind of don't fit that at all because I'm extremely extroverted and I'm like annoyingly loud, pretty like out there. But I also love video games. It just goes to show you like really anybody can be into video games. I think that's something I wanted to piggyback off because I feel like we all touched on this is the kind of social aspect behind video games because I feel like the older generation has this idea that video games keep people apart and that it alienates people from each other. But we all spoke about different experiences where we played a video game and it brought us closer to somebody. Like Overwatch, I met one of my best friends ever. Like, I met this girl in person. We went on a cruise together. Like, we're still friends 4 years later now. And I met her on Overwatch, just talking to her on Overwatch. And then we figured out that we live in the same state and that I was moving to the same city. And it was extremely, lucky. But the only reason I've ever met her is because of Overwatch. And we all clearly have similar stories. So I feel like that's something to highlight for anyone who might think of games as still this, like, oh, it keeps kids apart and they can't, like, hang out with each other anymore. It's like we are just not in the way that you're used to. So I don't know if you guys want to touch on that.
that actually same thing happened to me. I met my best friend. I'm gonna at him. His in-game name is Crafter Century, which I came up with, by the way. I over Minecraft, and it turned out he was moving. I lived in Illinois at the time. He was moving to a city in Illinois that was not far from where I lived, and I was like, "We about to meet up?" And so I became friends with his friend group that he met like pretty much like right when he like moved there, and like now we're all a big group of friends that like half met online but also met in person, and like we've been friends for like years, like almost like 6 or 7 years now. Like it's been kind of crazy how video games can like bring people together, like not even like just in your own like state, but like across the entire world. Like
Yeah,
crazy.
because it's a common interest.
Yeah.
Like,
It is
yeah,
really, and it transcends like a lot of barriers, even if it's like a language or if somebody's trying to learn other languages, physical space too. Like sometimes if
Yeah.
my friends go home, if I want to hang out with them, I'm gonna play Among Us with them, or I'm gonna play something.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and like you can meet all these people that you normally wouldn't meet outside of your space. So I think a lot of people think that you're going to isolate yourself, or you're going to, you can choose to be around like-minded people, or you can choose to be around other people. And I think that it's been really good to like learn those kind of things. And also it teaches you social skills, whether it's communicating, whether it's working as a team, that kind of stuff. And like, I know Sheridan was talking about how she met Jake, but like my partner, I met him online. He lived in Maine. And he moved down here and we live together now, but it was he was 1,500 miles away, but we were still able to talk. We were still able to have good experiences together. And
Yeah.
I think that we're not even talking about the competitive aspect. We're just talking about the social aspect. And I think that a lot of like my friendships have taught me a lot. in the years that I've been on the internet. I've played a lot of different games. I've played with in-person friends. I've met up with friends. I remember there's this one story where my parents were like always like, like your friends on the internet are probably bad and they're probably trying to trick you and like all this stuff. And we went and traveled to London because we had friends and we stayed with them and we ended up meeting up with one of my online friends and we went to the British Museum, we went to lunch, and they were like, "Wow, he was such a pleasant kid. Like, he was so nice." And I was like, "I told you, like, I can judge people, you know?" And so it was so nice. Like, I got to meet one of my friends, and like it was awkward at first, but then we kind of like got over it, and like it was just like chilling with one of the homies, except we were in London. So maybe everybody sounded different, but it was still just a great experience.
And like I think it's so cool because like speaking of meeting people, and I'll speak a little bit about my own success in esports. I don't think I could have done this without meeting Ziva or meeting Annabel, because so like it's crazy because I came to esports at FSU and there's already a woman there. I'm like, heck yeah. I remember like one of the first weeks we Ziva and I met up and we got pumpkins from the pumpkin patch and we
Oh my
carved them
God,
together,
that
and
was
it was
awesome.
so cool to be like, oh, this person's like me. Like, we're both women in this space. That's so fun. And I met Annabelle
Yeah.
at DreamHack Atlanta in 2019.
Wow. Wow, 2019.
2019,
Before
last
Rain
year.
2020.
Um,
Yeah.
and like, I don't even remember that many women being there besides the women in gaming panel that we went to, but oh, it was so cool. I know Jake had already talked to you in the past, but it was so cool meeting you. Like, all I could think about was like, oh my god, I just met this really awesome girl, and like she knows like a bunch of stuff about esports like me, and she's like running her program, and I thought that was just so cool. And like, it's because of like both of you and like women like you that I feel like I didn't quit already.
Yeah,
I'm
for
gonna
that one.
don't
I
cry.
feel it.
I do feel
Cry on
that
the first episode.
for real, it's gonna happen. I know it's gonna happen at some point.
Yeah,
But
it
I
definitely is.
definitely agree with that point, because I feel like this is also a mission that I think we all have here, is to show just a presence as women. I don't want to use the term females because that's just weird, sorry.
Weird.
But as women, it is weird, yeah. As women in gaming and esports, just I remember walking into that esports meeting the first time, and this is no tea or shade, but there was not a single woman in there, and I was the only woman walking in there and being like, okay, this is a reality that I've accepted, but it is one that we can absolutely change moving forward. And we have changed it, because that was in 2018. Now we have Sheridan, we have myself, we have a handful of other women and more coming into the program, as I'm sure you do as well, Annabelle. So I think the more we show that women are here, the more women will be more inclined to come and be a part of the space and make their own space in it. So I think that's a great point you made, Sheridan. And I look up to you all the time as well, because you are killing it in this esports media world. So the feeling is mutual. Having you come on board was extremely refreshing, because it gave me the opportunity to kind of like share my experiences with you, because it's difficult, men can obviously try and help as much as they can, but they'll never experience it the same. And so having another woman to share experiences and exchange experiences helped a lot, because you don't feel as alone in this big world of esports and gaming.
Especially as an officer.
Yeah.
Especially as an officer.
Especially as an officer, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot we can relate to. Yeah, it's not easy.
Yeah.
So
I think being a woman in any leadership position holds its various challenges, but the more women we have in leadership, the better that disparity and lack of, communication and lack of ability to associate with each other, I think will get better the more we have women inside.
And guess what? We're killing it. All three of us.
Killing it. We
We're killing
are.
it.
All of us.
What can I say except that we're killing it every day?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry, I'm
I
just
think
making myself laugh.
to add something, I felt like, at first, because I only ever had guy friends and like I couldn't find people with similar interests, that it must be my preference or something that like, oh, I just prefer being friends with guys. But I think, you know, at the end of the day, it was because I couldn't find other people to relate with that were also women. And so I kind of shut that door preemptively. But being able
Mm,
to talk to you, being able to listen to other figures in esports talk about this kind of stuff, talk about advocating for ourselves, talk about boundaries, talk about, you know, making it easier for everybody, talking about, you know, just when you discuss these things, it helps you understand it. And I'm just super excited because I want to be able to meet other women that I might not, you know, meet normally or that I might have shut the door on earlier. And I think part of that also is we're like a support group for each other, kind of. I know I talk to Sheridan a lot. She talks to me a lot. I hope to do the same with Ziva because you have like
yes.
so much experience when it comes to streaming, and I'm like, you know, maybe I should go back to streaming, but like, how do I
Yes.
handle it?
Oh my
So
gosh, yes.
I think, like Sheridan said, and like Ziva said, like we can relate to each other, and that's an important part. But also, like, I just, it's so positive. Like we're always like, hey, like you got this, girl. Like you can do it. Like and I'm just like, "Hey, it's okay if you're late," or like, "This is totally understandable because I know we're gonna kill it anyway." You
Yeah.
know, we spent like a couple hot minutes like figuring out when we were gonna record and getting everything together, but I'm super excited because I know that this is gonna be great because we're all like,
Yes.
how do I say this? We genuinely care and we want to do something, and I don't want this to come off as like we're just praising each other to praise each other, but like we're genuinely excited. Like I can tell
It
from both of you.
We'll get to praising other people
I
soon.
know, I can't
This is
wait.
this is our little like episode for us to just kind of like praise each other, introduce each other as well though, and like kind of give you context as to why we're here to
Mhm.
begin with. And yeah, exactly. We want to like go at this in a very positive angle because I don't know if you guys can relate to this feeling, but I feel like being a woman in gaming, the first instinct, or at least when I first kind of joined the realm, my first instinct was like other women are competition. Because I don't know, it just always felt like there was a limited amount of room for women in gaming, and I want to kind of dispel that because it's not true. There's plenty of room for women in gaming,
Mhm.
and I know that immediately I was like, oh, I should feel threatened, but now it's like everything is changing. Hasn't changed yet, but is changing, and I feel
Mhm.
like we want to go at this in a like the more women in esports and gaming, the better. And we're not here to compete against each other. We're here to empower and lift each other.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, and we're here to learn and we're here to listen to other people and not only are we telling their stories, we want them to tell their stories and to talk about things that they care about. You know, I'm passionate about collegiate esports. Sheridan is so passionate when it comes to she's so good at marketing. And Ziva, I can tell how passionate you are. Every time I check your Twitter, you've got like a new video and you're dancing and I'm like, "Oh
girl.
man." So, like again, I can't wait to have other people on here because I am always open to learning and I want to learn not only how to help other women but how to be proud of being a woman. Not to say I'm not proud, but I want to be like super proud and I want other women to feel that way too. And you know, maybe one day somebody watches our podcast and they feel inspired to reach out to their club. Maybe they didn't feel that comfortable before. And I want that to be this. And I want my club, you know, to be accepting. And I want my club to be a place that someone would be happy to be a part of. So
I know that on this podcast we will have to touch on, some negative aspects because it's not all been, rainbows and butterflies for all of us. We've definitely had our own negative experiences, but I think it's so important to provide a positive light because who wants to be invited on a podcast where like, hey, you're a woman, now tell us all the bad things
Yeah.
that happened to you. It's
Yeah.
just not fun. And then the other thing that I was gonna say was, I grew up always being friends with guys. And I always thought that like, I don't get along with other women, and it's like, that's like not really true. I think I just maybe never found other women that I could connect with over video games because we'll get into those issues later. But I met Ziva and it was like, wow, I can be friends with this person and it's awesome and it's positive and here we are and look how much fun we're having. Brought another friend.
Yeah.
And I just think that, it's important that we share positive stories. And of course,
Mhm.
I don't know where I'm going with this. My brain is broken, you guys.
That's totally fine.
I think I think what we're trying to get at is that if you're concerned about this becoming a podcast simply focused on talking about the disparities and issues women face in esports and gaming, don't be. Because as we will touch on those subjects, we also want women and other people we bring on the podcast to speak about just what they're passionate about, apart from the fact that they
Yeah.
are a woman. Because I feel like that is sometimes the issue is that, and even like think about like actresses, people will ask them what's it like being a woman, or like what
Are you
diet did you like
dating?
do to get ready for this goal. Who are you dating? Like
Who
that's not
cares?
what we're going for here. We want to spotlight women, give them evidently the opportunity to discuss how being a woman has affected their journey, but how has their journey been and what can they teach us apart from that? So if you're like watching this and you're like, I could be a guest, but then you're concerned about us only speaking about that, we won't. We're just introducing the podcast, which has that as an aspect to it, but that's
We
not
are
the
aware
point.
that it's gonna come, like, negative stories and like those accounts are gonna come up, and we're totally welcome to it. But that's not like we're not gonna sit you down and be like, tell us when you've been.
Tell us how much it sucks for like 30 minutes. That's not our
No,
goal.
we want to hear about cool stuff.
Realistic
Yeah.
I
but
wanna learn.
positive, I think, is a good two
Yeah.
words to go with.
Yeah. I think like, and I've seen this on Twitter a lot. A lot of people are like, why are we having women in esports panels if they're just going to talk about how tough it is? Like, I want to hear about that those people themselves and what they do, which is what I think kind of inspired me to really join this, because I think, like, yes, we could talk about how hard collegiate is, or how, annoying some things can be, as a woman, but like, I want to learn about other people and their stories and their experiences and who impacted them positively, and how rewarding this work is, because like sitting down here and talking, I'm having a good time, I'm enjoying this, and I feel like, sometimes we shouldn't lose track of that, and we should
Yeah,
celebrate those things. So,
absolutely.
yeah.
100%. Because I think we all have women here, and women, I mean, outside of this podcast here, that we look up to and that have helped shape our journey and have kind of stopped us at some points where we would have been like, you know what? It's not worth it. Like, I don't need to be here. I feel like we've all had that one woman or those multiple people that have just kind of reminded us, like, it's possible and I will make it. I just need to, be strong. So I think we either want to help be that, to help bring those people to light so that people can have those people to look up to.
Totally.
But I want to say, if you see this, whoever you are, maybe on Twitter, maybe on YouTube, maybe on LinkedIn, maybe I'll push it on my LinkedIn. If you're interested in being a guest, please don't hesitate to reach out, even if you're not sure if you can make it. Even, if you have questions, we'll be happy to answer them. We're just super excited. We want to have anyone on that we can. This isn't going to be a short-term project for us. We're really looking to invest in this and make content. So if you're interested, please reach out. When it comes to the socials, maybe we'll put them up on the screen.
Yeah.
Or Sheridan can shout them out. But we're really excited and we would love to have you on. So to anyone
And
watching.
not just esports, but any gamers, flow artists, anything,
Anybody.
artists in general, like even just chatting if you do that, or baking, like
I'm
literally
so
anything.
interested in everything Twitch.
Same. Yeah. We're so invested in this, and we want people from all backgrounds, all cultures, all walks of life, all areas
Let us
to
learn.
yeah,
Here to learn.
yeah, that we're here to learn.
Oh my god, I'm so excited.
Same.
So I think on that note, we will close this episode 0, our introductory episode where you get to meet us. Next episode, we want to meet one of you. So thank you for listening and thank you for coming out. This is the Power Up Podcast, and we'll see you next time.